Alright, let's look at the responses you gave to my jungle tracking quiz. First of all, how long do all regular camps take to respawn? And you filled in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And let's just go to the next one, because this is entirely correct. Zinzao does a normal Blue Wolves Raptor route, no leash. What do you think is the fastest clear time? And you filled in 1 minute and 10 seconds. That's a decent guess. Now, I have a video on YouTube on me doing it, completing the route with the timer on 2:30. And since the camps spawn at 1:30, that means you can clear it in 2:30 without any special tricks like flashing, or you can also abuse the Gathering Storm, because it keeps going even if you reset in Practice Tool. But just normal runes, normal everything, you can get this. That's 1 minute. Or 60 seconds. Alright, so that is 10 seconds off. And generally speaking, that's, completely acceptable, right? It's completely understandable that you wouldn't guess everything to the second. But it is important that you realize that that is not accurate. So, on the one hand, I'm not saying, oh, that's a bad guess. I think that's a terrific guess, but it's not the right answer, right? So, just a little bit of context there. Let's just go on to the next one. How long does it take to clear blue buff in the above clear? I can tell you it takes right around 150, 149, it's like 149, something like that. And that is 19 seconds. You know, you can round it off to 20, but that's without a leash, right? So again, that is 5 seconds. 5 seconds is a lot, right? That is a lot. So this is going to come into play when we're doing some predictions. These timers are going to come into effect. Right now, it's just dry knowledge. We're not applying it. But when we apply it, these 5 seconds are going to matter. All right, so how long does it take to clear the average camp and walk to the next one? That combination of two things in the next layer. Now, that's an easy one, since you could say that it takes you 60 seconds total, and you divide that by 3 camps, right? Which gives you 20 seconds per camp, right? So, this is a little bit higher than 15. It's about 20 seconds. If you look when you, for example, when we cross over from wolves to red, we make a very big jump, right? So obviously, just the wolves and the blue don't take that long, but this walk takes a long time. This says average, so maybe that's a little bit devious, because usually it wouldn't take this long. 15 seconds, I think, is a great guess. I'll adjust my question, and I think as long as you understand that the average is longer because we have to walk a lot from wolves to red, it's good. So let's just move on to the next one. So obviously, it's not about what you answer, it's about what you understand from it and how you're going to use that to track the jungler, right? So, how long does it take to walk from the center of mid lane to the center of bot lane without any extra movement speed? 15 seconds, that is literally down to the second. Correct, well played. Let's go to the next one. When does Zinzao's wolves respawn in the above clear? 4:45 is not a bad guess. If you think about the 20 seconds we said earlier, especially when you're clearing the blue, like the wolves take less long. So, you got the 20 seconds after 1:30, which means you're done at 1:50, right? And then you take right about less than 20 seconds for the wolves, so usually you're done at 2:06 or something, or 2:07. That is 17 seconds, right? It's less than 19 or 20 or whatever. It's slightly less. So it's going to be between 17, maybe 16, maybe even 15, who knows? So that means you're done with the wolves right about 2:05 would, I think, is my optimal time, but 2:07 would be more standard. Which puts you, if with a leash, you can get that down to 2:05, right? So let's just use that as an easy reference. 4:35 would be pretty accurate. 4:40 if you want to be on the safe side. But again, you see, this is 5 seconds. And that's another 5 seconds. That's 10 seconds. That's a lot of time, right? That's enough time for someone to be done with the red buff and then walk all the way to behind your lane. So you're like, you might think they're just done now. and they're actually already behind you. So that's what this is going to be all about. Okay. When does Zinzal's blue respawn in the above clear? I messed up that question, but obviously it's 150 plus 230, which is 420. All memes aside, that's the correct answer. Why does Nidalee go base and then go to her Krugs? This is the most important one. We'll talk about this one last, as this is one of the only actual active, let's say, examples of applying all your knowledge, right? To actually do jungle tracking in a real game scenario. Okay, which level are you after Red Krugs Raptors? Level 3 is correct. Level Krugs Red Wolves. This is the important part. Krugs plus 2 camps equals level 3. This is just something you need to notice about the game. If you see different junglers route in different ways, you need to know. So if you might go red, Krugs, and then whatever, you know you're gonna get level 3. If you, I don't know, if you started blue and then did wolves and then did Krugs, you're gonna be level 3. You need to know that. Alright. Which level are you after clearing Red Raptors Blue? Level 2, entirely correct. There's no other combination of 3 camps that gives you level 3. Red Raptors Blue Grump, level 3, entirely correct. One more camp will give you that level 4. Okay. So, now let's go to the last one, which is why does Nidalee go to her base and then go to her Krugs in the question? So let's take a look here. I need to like actually / view form. Alright, let's do it. Okay. In this clip, Nidalee starts out at the enemy red buff, and then wards the enemy raptors, and goes to blue. After that, she bases, and goes to Krugs. I don't understand why full screen is not a feature here,
Why does
but
Nidalee base and go to Krugs?
this'll work. So, weird inflection. Why does she not go to base and go to her Krugs? Let's answer the question, though. So, you know that if we take the 4 big camps, we notice this one at the red buff is where Nidalee started. Then she warded the raptors, as I said, and did her blue and went base. And then she went to her Krugs. Now think about this for a second. So I'm going to start RiftKit because this interface is not really giving me... This is not something I enjoy doing, like going over the YouTube red lines and stuff, like trying to explain something. Congratulations! Congratulations! I've won! Okay, please. Okay. All malware aside, let's take a look at here. So, if we know that Rengar started here, Nidalee is hoping to catch his movement over here, right? And maybe sit in a brush somewhere. If he approaches his red buff, she can throw a spear because she will know when Rengar reaches what point. But if we look at the video, we can see that once Nidalee has gone base, she bases and goes to right? So we can see that Nidalee based at 240. Now, we just talked about a 3-camp route. There's just 3 camps here. Clearing these 3 camps would take less than 240 or 230. Far less. So let's say that would take 220. And then especially with a leash, maybe it's 215. I don't know the exact timers, but it's going to be less, and way less. Now that means that she's gonna that this guy's gonna reach here by, let's say, if this takes 10 seconds, right? It means we already gave some references for how long these paths are, so this is about 10 seconds. That means Alright, so I cut off maybe for a second, but the point was this path here takes less than 10 seconds. And that means that in total, if you add that to 220, you're going to be there before 230. And definitely at 235, you know, if you give yourself some comfortable margins of error for your opponent, just assuming maybe they made a little mistake or something, like, yeah, they're still going to be here before 235. So 240, you can comfortably go base and assume he is not coming here. So that means he's already, at some point, finished this, or maybe he started in your jungle if you don't have vision on that, and he's now officially doing what is called vertical jungling. So you are going vertical. He respected that, or saw that, or predicted that, whatever. He's going vertical as well. This is now confirmed because we know he isn't on this. So this route, this horizontal route, is now crossed out completely. So what is going on here? What would Rengar do? What would the normal way be? If you start at your own blue buff, and you maybe do your Gromp, you don't know that, and you move in here and you do red buff, what's your next options like? You could go Raptors and Krugs, right? Now the Krugs are absolutely decimating for the Rengar. So you have to understand, if he goes Raptors, he can leave the jungle before you even get there, right? Because that is, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4. And a 4 camp clear like that, you can do that. This is gonna take like 20 seconds, so you're gonna be here after like 3 minutes. And a 4 camp clear can end before 250. Right? You just add 20 seconds to the 230 timer, for example, to have a rough indication of the correct timings. Okay, so I don't know what my Discord's doing, but I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna finish my explanation. So, that means that Nidalee is not gonna be here in time to get a 4 camp clear, like, essentially catch Rengar on 4 camp clear. What about the 5th camp? Krugs take the longest time to clear, they do the most damage, and it's the deepest into her jungle. And it's generally at the end of a route. So, Krugs would be likely something Rengar takes when Rengar is under the impression that Nidalee is in her own jungle and is not gonna be somehow in this part, right, in this quadrant. So when you're playing like this, you're kind of dividing the map. That's the general concept, right? And you just divide the map, and one side gets these two, and the other side gets these two. But now, because we have established a little opener here, like we can just come in here, and maybe at 320, we've gotten there. Like, obviously we started at 240, so we're in there at like maybe 3 minutes. And we know that he's clearing this camp starting at roughly like 250 maybe. Like, we're not gonna, like, the Raptors are gonna already be cleared before we get there, like, well before 3 minutes. So let's say at 250 or 255 he starts the camp, and he's gonna be done with it at maybe 315, right? He's gonna be there right when we get there. This is very important. This zone, this time, indicates that we're going to be able to catch him on it. So you realize when you actively track someone's exact camps, and you know the first one is 150, and the second one is like 205, and the third one is like 225, and the fourth one is 245, and the third one is like, that's another 20 seconds, right? So that's 315, for example. You know that you reach here after she's... This is when you reach, right? This is after she's done this, and before he's done the 5th camp. So that is, this 5th camp is the correct camp. So long story short, if you know each timing of the camp, you know when you can base and reach her. Sorry, when I say her, I mean Rengar. Gender assumptions much, but anyway, so you know, you get it. The Rengar's gonna get caught out in the jungle. And the funny thing in the video is that when you look at the empty camps, you can see on the minimap whether there's a little skull or not. If there's no skull, it means camp got cleared. Rengar actually took the safe route and didn't ever enter Nidalee's Krugs. So he's playing low risk. Nidalee's trying to catch him out, and all Nidalee gets is her Krugs. Now, last thing I wanted to go over, so that is the appropriate play from both sides. Now, the last thing I want to go over is, what about your reasoning? Krugs give a lot of experience. How about these Krugs? They give just as much experience. If maybe you want to do Krugs Raptors. They give just as much experience. You can ward up deep into the enemy jungle. See the Rengar, the Rengar coming. See, that's the problem, right? That's a very big problem in your reasoning step there. Is there's 2 Krugs, and right now this one is much more accessible. So you make that decision early. I want to be planning ahead. When you're on here, there could be stuff happening in top lane that adjusts your route, or stuff happening in bot lane that adjusts your route. But the blind pathing of both junglers doesn't change during their route. That's just like planned ahead of time. So if you wanted experience, you would go for the Krugs. If you want your own Krugs, yeah, why would you really, right? Because it gives the same amount of experience. So once you're over here and you're like, oh, I want experience, honestly, if you don't know the timers and you assume Rengar has taken your bottom side, you assume these Krugs are down. It's only when you know specifically you're going to get there in time that you can make this play happen. Otherwise, you're just risking that you're just wasting like almost a minute where you're just doing absolutely nothing. In the meanwhile, Rengar might have based and might now take your top side and take his own top side. And now you're just level 2 for the rest of the entire video game. You're just going to lose the game straight away. You got to make sure that that is why the higher you go, the more you need to know the specifics of these timers. And even just like this little 5-second gaps or 10-second gaps in your estimates are going to change whether you walk into an empty jungle or walk while someone's clearing the camp. Okay, that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.